Hey everybody, it's Mike Jeffers, ChicagoJazz.com, and this is episode 83 of Jazz This Week, live from Johnny O's, right here in Bridgeport. Thaddeus Tukes, the great young, very young, younger than me, vibe player, stopping by. We're going to talk about his new release, his show coming up at Andy's, and much more. All right, we're back here at Johnny O's, episode 83, Jazz This Week. I'm Mike Jeffers, ChicagoJazz.com. We are here with Thaddeus Tukes, who has a new recording out.
I do.
He has a CD release coming up December 8th and 9th at Andy's Jazz Club, 5 to 8:30. I think there's two sets, right?
Yep.
5 p.m. and 7 p.m.?
Yes.
And we're going to talk all about that. Thaddeus, I've known you for a little longer than most people even know.
Exactly.
Because you actually performed at the Jazz Festival. Why don't we just get a little background on you?
Okay.
Are you from Chicago originally?
Yes, I'm from Chicago my whole life. I've lived on the South Side for most of my life in different, neighborhoods and areas on the South Side. Went to Whitney Young High School.
Killer jazz program, right?
Killer jazz program.
That's like one of the best ones in CPS, isn't
Oh,
it?
for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, went to Whitney Young High School. Then I went to Northwestern for college, so that moved me to the Evanston area, which is definitely very different than growing up anywhere I've been in Chicago,
Well, and plus that's a campus, and that campus, though, I love, and probably as a musician you can dig it too, because you're so close. I mean, you're in Evanston,
right? And
there's like live music happening in Evanston, which is kind of odd compared to like some of these other music schools that you might go to where there isn't so much stuff happening.
Exactly. You have Evanston Space up there, and they're bringing in world-renowned cats. And then Chicago is really like I could get to Andy's in about 30 minutes on a really good day from school.
Straight down the L, right?
Yeah, it's right down the L. Yeah. Majored in music and journalism, graduated. Now I'm back in Chicago.
Now you're world famous.
now I'm the world famous vibes player from Chicago.
You started playing vibes at a young age.
Yeah, I started playing actually percussion. I'm classically trained at the age of 8. I started in this program called the Percussion Scholarship Program, which is sponsored by the Chicago Symphony Orchestra.
Oh, wow, okay.
It's a really cool program. Shout out to Miss Dash and Mr. Waddell. You get basically free, super intense, and professional percussion lessons weekly.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Where was it? Where is it?
At Symphony Center.
Oh, okay, so right down
in the
there.
actual percussion practice rooms that
Wow, no kidding.
Yes, it's like an amazing program. So I did that through 6th grade.
Okay.
So let's say about, 4 years? I did that for 4 years.
And that was classical, right?
That
so
was
they're
all
teaching you
classical.
how to, you're playing timpani. Because
Everything.
I went to school for drum set and for percussion and for everything. So I learned four mallet, marimba, and all that good stuff.
Everything.
So you got to play
every percussion
everything.
instrument you name. If I've heard of it, I can play it. There's some I'm gonna be honest is like I've never.
What do you think about
what
do you think about multi percussion solos?
Multi percussion solos, like
like timpani, and you had the bongos and snare drum. And
those are my favorite.
Yeah, you like those?
Yeah,
okay.
I like those a lot. I like playing with the reason I feel like I really like percussion in general is just because it's all based on like timbre, kind of like every drum has like its own different shade, and I think that's like people don't really think about drums and percussion in that way. So I love the fact that I can hit something and I can hit another thing that looks just like it and the sounds are different. You know? It got to a point where I was like, I love percussion, and I told my parents, I was like, but classical music is not what I'm passionate about, you know what I mean? Like I would get parts in percussion ensemble and would just like add my own little part to it, and they would look at me knowing
can't do that,
right?
Man.
You can't do that. Like you got to play the music, but also that sometimes they like let me get away with it because they're like, well, he's just being creative, and like we want to encourage his creativity. But I realized like classical music is not for me, therefore I don't. Then my parents are like, well, maybe this program isn't what you should continue in just because like it was designed for classical music.
Yeah, they were grooming you to go into high school and then go into college as a classical musician and then hope somebody in the symphony
Right,
retires
which I
or
have
something and you
friends
could
that
get
have
in.
done
Yeah.
that. You know, I have
Sure.
a few of the graduates of that program are in orchestras. Like, I think one is a principal percussionist of the orchestra. But
Wow, okay.
yeah, and we're all still like really good friends. That same year, I was at my great grandmother's house, and I was like looking through her old albums and CDs because I've always been just a curious kid. So I found a CD of Lionel Hampton's, it said Lionel Hampton and his orchestra flying home.
Oh, yeah, sure.
And that, like, I was like, oh, I know what that instrument is. So I put it in the CD player and played Flying Home, and that was like...
Yeah, well, you probably
So,
couldn't believe
you know.
somebody could play the vibraphone
Right.
like that in that
Exactly.
context
Exactly.
as a lead instrument with a swinging band behind it.
And the crazy thing is, like, right before that, I had seen Stefan Harris for the first time at the Pasek event.
Okay.
And that was, like, even still, like, a whoa, like, a awakening moment.
Yeah.
Lionel Hampton, though, was like a seal
Yeah.
the deal type of thing, you know? Like, that converted me. So I started playing jazz. Once I got to Whitney Young, I was in the academic center. So
You already had chops, though.
Oh
So
yeah,
you
I
had
had.
chops
My
on
technique
that.
was like
I mean,
stellar.
yeah,
for sure. I do think that studying classical for sure was the reason that I personally had such good technique. I know a lot of people that have only studied jazz and their technique is, you know, amazing. I feel like a lot of jazz educational pieces in like institutional settings are kind of centered around the classical curriculum, which has its pros and cons. You're
Sure.
still getting the technique, but at the same time, you're not necessarily, you know, only studying jazz. You're kind of being forced to study other stuff.
Right.
But I do think that as a jazz musician, it's important to know that stuff just because, like, I mean, we play all kinds
yeah,
of
right.
gigs.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. I mean,
you never know what you're going to get called for.
I mean, yeah,
so.
exactly. This is no longer the day and age that you're going to play big band swing, make a
Right.
lot of money for 35 years and retire and go live on an island. That's not happening anymore. You know?
Yeah,
And
at least
so,
for the most part, you know. It's a few people that might be able to, like, pull it off, but no.
depends on how big the island has to be. Right? I mean, that's, you know, come on.
Exactly.
How'd you end up going to Northwestern? You just it's basically a local jazz program, really good.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
the Northwestern is you know, you got DePaul around here, Roosevelt,
Yeah.
Columbia's got a program down there too.
You know, it's
so.
a crazy story. So I was in middle school or high school. I was watching this documentary, I believe, on WTTW, and it was something about jazz. I don't think it was like the Kid and Burn series, but it was like another jazz documentary. And they had a section where they were highlighting jazz at Lincoln Center. Like, I grew up knowing about Wynton Marsalis, listening to Wynton Marsalis, like, you know, obviously. So I was sitting there watching it, and then Victor Goines comes up, and
Yeah, because he's in the band.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I watched his whole video. Like, I couldn't have been older than 16. So I'm watching his whole interview. And at the end of it, I was like, whoa, I want to be just like Victor Goines. Like, I love, he arranges, he composes, he plays. He's like everywhere. Like, I want to be that dude, right? So that was like high school Thaddeus. So senior year comes around. We're applying to colleges.
Yeah.
And this was before or after the application or something. I don't remember. He comes in and gives us a master class at Whitney Young because the person he got his instruments fixed by, Sean, I believe his name is, was the bassoon teacher at Whitney Young.
Oh, okay.
So
okay.
I was like, whoa, I get to meet Victor Goines. This is crazy, right? And so then I apply for colleges, and, you know, he's like, yeah, I'm the head of jazz in Northwestern.
Now it's like super stalker mode now.
Yeah, almost. It's almost like, I mean, honestly, for college, I really wanted to go to NYU. Like, that was my dream. I wanted to graduate
Go live
and go
in
to
New York, go
and,
out there, yeah.
And I got to NYU, and I got a lot of scholarship money, and it was a great opportunity, but Northwestern's opportunity was just better, you know?
Yeah. So why journalism, too?
So, when I was applying to school, I didn't want to just do music school. I just felt like if I'm going to go to college, I wasn't going to go to a conservatory because, like, Whitney Young taught me that, like, having a diversity of interests and, like, personalities and people is, like, extremely important.
Right.
And even though there is diversity in music schools, I still wouldn't want to be talking about music all the time. I like talking about astrophysics, or I like talking, you know, like, so since I was applying to university, I was like, I might as well make the most of this opportunity.
Yeah, right. And Medill's like one of the top journalism schools
in the country. So I was applying to Northwestern, and I was kind of deciding, what will be that other major. And I always loved writing. I always, like in elementary school, I tried to start a newspaper at the elementary school and stuff. So I was like, journalism makes sense. Like, this is, it makes sense.
You didn't get overwhelmed.
Right.
By having to worry about music and
it was definitely
time.
Extremely overwhelming just because of like the amount.
The workload had to be insane.
I was crazy. But luckily the faculty and counselors were willing to make sure that like I stayed focused and my schedule worked out every quarter, and like they were very, very good about making sure that to the most that I could be stress-free, I was stress-free.
Yeah. Let's jump ahead, and we're going to talk more about all of the other stuff with Thaddeus' career coming up in the podcast, coming up in December.
Correct.
But since this is Jazz This Week, I have 3 picks that I have coming up. But before we even get to that, why don't we talk about, you have 2 shows.
I have 2 shows.
So let's talk quickly about December 1st with the great Willie Pickens.
Yes.
Is that a duo?
Yes, it's a duo, but there are, like all of my shows, going to be some special guests.
Sitting in.
And it'll definitely be a production. There are going to be multiple pieces. I think it'll be definitely an experience.
Costume changes?
Potentially.
Really?
Potentially. It's going to be, I'm not trying to give away too much, but
man,
it's definitely going to be different than what you're expecting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So what kind of music are you playing? Is it original or what?
No,
is
it's all going to be Christmas tunes. A lot of it is off of Willie Pickens' Jazz Christmas with Nicholas Payton. That's such a killing album.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of it is from there. Then I have some arrangements that I've done, either from years ago, but also some new ones. And, it's going to be a nice story.
And so that's December 1st.
December 1st.
Promontory.
Yes.
And we'll link it up, so hit the link below.
Yes.
Check out. The second one is your CD release.
Yes.
Brand new CD.
Yes.
Coming out. Let's see, what's it called? Oh, Thad's Groove.
Thad's Groove,
How
right.
did you come up with the name?
Right, how did I come
Groove?
up with that name? So, obviously, it's a play on Milt Jackson's Thad's Groove. So the way the song was conceived,
conceived,
something like that.
You're the journalist,
right?
So I don't know.
I know.
I'm just a guy with a camera and a hot dog stand, man. So December 8th and 9th.
Yes.
8th and 7th and 8th? 8th and 9th. 8th and 9th, December 8th and 9th, Andy's Jazz Club. We'll link it up below.
Yes.
By the way, for those of you that have not gone to Andy's before, because there's people that don't know, I always like to make it super simple. You can park right next door, valet parking at Shaw's Crab House.
Yes.
Walk right into Andy's.
Yeah.
He'll take care of the rest. It's going to be great, man. He's going to play.
After
you're going to be
pay,
happy. Yeah,
I'll
well,
definitely
pay the
take
cover,
care.
and then he'll take care of the playing portion.
Exactly.
I better
I'll make sure you
stipulate
have
that.
a good time.
Hey, man, here's my tab. He said he was going to take care of this. All right, now this is when I have to do my disclaimer because I have to do my 3 picks of the week.
Yes.
I always do 3 picks of the week. And Thaddeus, as a journalism major, you know how important it is to put your disclaimer out there to make sure that people know that these are not the only shows happening in Chicago over this weekend.
Don't call him cursing him out because he forgot your show.
That's right. Well, there's like 4 or 5 people already doing that.
Right.
Get the cue for that. There's a lot of great music happening, and of course, ChicagoJazz.com has all of the listings. So visit ChicagoJazz.com. Yes. He even writes for ChicagoJazz.com when he's not playing. But now he's been recording and playing. I got to get him back in the system over here.
Exactly.
So I've got 3 picks. These are my 3 picks. That if you're a music fan, if you're a casual music fan, if you're a hardcore jazz fan, and I have. What do I have? I have a holiday show too. So, if you like holiday music, these are my picks. Of course, if you have shows coming up, hit us up below, man. Leave us a comment, DM us, and we'll try to get to that show as it comes up. All right, first pick. Now, if you know these guys or have any insight on things, chime in. I'm going to go. Let's start with the Green Mill. Okay, the Green Mill, December 1st. Awesome place. December 1st and 2nd, Joel Paterson is having his CD release and his birthday weekend.
Wow.
Double whammy.
Wow,
CD release and birthday weekend.
It's going to be a big weekend.
It is. So that's Joel Paterson and his group at the Green Mill, December 1st and 2nd. Of course, as they always say, all roads lead to Uptown. And that's where the Green Mill is, man. All right, my second pick. My second pick for this week. This is an ongoing gig. This is an ongoing jam session that happens at Norman's Bistro right there on 43rd Street, a block west Room 43, where they have the Hyde Park Jazz Society, which I know you have played at a million times.
And I will be back in the future.
And they love you there. Didn't you just play there?
Yeah.
Like a couple of weeks ago or something, right? Or maybe a month ago?
Yeah, within the last few months.
Right?
Yeah.
So Norman's Bistro has Ernest Dawkins. He is running a jam session, does it every Sunday night, starts at 9 p.m. I think it goes to like midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm sure they'll keep playing until 3 in the morning if everything gets cooking, man.
Till you close it down.
And Ernest has been on the cover of the magazine. Great guy. He actually runs the Inglewood Jazz Festival every year. So he gives back to the gives back to the community a ton. So if you wanted to sit in, you wanted to jam, and you wanted to play with some killing players, Norman's Bistro every Sunday night. Now we're going to go over and we're going to Winter's Jazz Club. Right there in Streeterville, Winter's Jazz Club.
Quick. Yes. Winter's Jazz Club is beautiful.
It's gorgeous.
It's gorgeous. Like everything about it. Like the river, it's gorgeous. You should definitely go to Winter's. Period.
They just celebrated their 1-year anniversary 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I saw that on Facebook from Elaine.
Oh, it was awesome, man. It was awesome. So yes, I agree. It's behind the Target though, so you got to make sure you know where you're going. It's like McClurg, Illinois, but then you walk down on the promenade right by the river / Ogden Slip, I think is the technical term.
Okay.
But December 5th. Pianist Chris White is going to be there with his trio, and they're performing the Charlie Brown Christmas album.
And that's going to be beautiful.
Oh, Vince Guaraldi.
Oh, that's one of my favorite Christmas albums.
Christmas is happening December 5th at Winter's Jazz Club.
Christmas at Winters.
Man, that's marketing.
Right, they should have done that. Christmas, Winters, can you please do that? Christmas at Winters, that has to happen.
Done.
Has to.
Starring Thaddeus.
Exactly.
Thanks for coming out, and I always say this, so thanks for coming out. Thanks for watching this show. Episode 83, we're going to close this out. And of course, as I always say, if I don't see you somewhere this weekend, hopefully I will see you somewhere out on the scene.